Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Jasper Dent. I'm the events coordinator here at McNally Robinson in Saskatoon. This event is being held on Treaty 6 territory. This is the land of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dene, Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota, and homeland of the Métis. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Saskatoon launch of Mother Earth, My Favorite Artist by Carol Rose GoldenEagle, published by Medicine Wheel Publishing. Thank you so much to Carol for being here tonight and for working with us to make this event happen. Just to note that this event is being live streamed, so there's a web camera up to your right here. I'd also like to take this time to encourage you to silence or turn off your phones for the evening. Well, just for the event, you can turn them back on after. If you'd like to buy copies of Mother Earth, My Favorite Artist, we have some up here on the signing table and also on the desk by where you first walked in. You're welcome to get your book signed before you purchase it. Just please remember to stop by the cash desk on your way out. Now I'd like to introduce our author for the evening. Carol Rose GoldenEagle is Cree Dene with roots in Sandy Bay, northern Saskatchewan. She's an award-winning novelist, poet, playwright, visual artist, and musician. She's the author of the award-winning novel Bearskin Diary, which was published in 2015, Hiraeth, a book of poetry in 2018, Bone Black in 2019, and Narrows of Fear in 2020. Carol was named as the 2021-2023 Saskatchewan Poet Laureate. In 2022, she was named as a member of the Saskatchewan Order of Merit for her years of cross-cultural work within the arts and culture community. Before pursuing her art on a full-time basis, Carol worked as a journalist for more than 30 years in television and radio at APTN, CTV, and CBC. We are so thrilled to have her joining us this evening. Everyone, please give Carol a warm welcome.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you for coming. So I'm supposed to read from my book, but I'll just talk a bit first. Yeah, so how this book started. I used to live with her. This is my Safi. She was a border collie. Sadly, she got sick and she died. But I've written poems about her, so we'll go through some of that. The reason I write any of my children's stuff is because of my dog, because we must walk our dogs every day, right? And I live in Regina Beach. So if you don't know the community, you really should go to Regina Beach. It's beautiful. This is my home now, right? And it's right by the lake. And every single day when you're walking down the bike path right by the shoreline, it changes. And so people might say, oh, how boring, you're walking in the same spot every day. No, every single day is different. And I love my dog because she was good with me. She would just stop when I wanted to stop. Some dogs will pull and do all these weird things that bother you. She was really good. And so I would stop often, pick up rocks, pick leaves, pick vegetation at the side of the lake. And then I thought, I'm going to try to go home. Here's one. These things I see outside are so beautiful. I'm going to try to go home and paint them because I also love to paint. So here's my ladybug. That's what I started. It's like, okay, I'm going to start trying to paint these sort of images for children's poetry collection that will be coming out. And every time I would look at what I did, and then I would remember how beautiful a ladybug is and how delicate it is. And I love them because they don't bite, right? So they're one of those beautiful bugs that doesn't bite. And then I was just watching the sunset and doing all these things, walking, thinking, Mother Earth is my favorite artist. So then I would go home and try to paint them, like I said, and it never looked as good. And then I started to think, I bet you there are children who do this. And I know that because I've met them in the visits that I do with elementary kids. They're so happy to try to express themselves, especially, if they're using their hands and painting or using crayons or whatever. So that was the inspiration for Mother Earth. So I will do a bit of a reading, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about children's poetry, because actually that's what I'm more excited about coming out, which will be out in a year, by the way. So yeah, I have a book of Indigenous poetry just for children. and I loved writing it. So I'll do a couple of readings from that. We'll probably sing. I'll probably ask you to join me. And I will always say to you just what I do to my kids at school. You sing better when you smile. So we're going to get you to sing and hopefully do some smiling as well. Okay, so Mother Earth, my favorite artist, is the name of my first children's book. I have been trying to get into the children's market for about 15 or 20 years, really competitive market. And so I was really blessed and happy to have caught the attention of a publisher out of British Columbia. So that's who is publishing my book, Medicine Wheel Publishing. And I'm getting old, so I have to put my reading glasses on now. I tried once doing a reading without them because I was being vain. I couldn't see a thing. It was terrible. So it's like, all right, I'm getting older. That's all right. So Mother Earth, my favorite artist. And this is not surprising. If you go out in anywhere in rural Saskatchewan and you see a sunflower field, you see them once in a while, even if you're in the worst mood in the world, you have to be happy when you see sunflowers. So anyway, I'll just do a bit of reading because it's for kids and it goes by quickly. So there's no question about it that Mother Earth is my favorite artist. And every day when I go out for a walk, I am greeted by the beauty of her palette. And I love that too, palette, because little kids in grade 1 will say, what's a palette? And so you're teaching them about painting techniques and stuff like that. So here I am, or an image of me as a young girl painting. And I try my best to imitate all the amazing images that Mother Earth creates. I paint the flowers, I paint the sky, but it never has the same magnificence. And I will keep on trying. This is always one of my favorite things when I walk by the lake. All of these different birds. I don't know how many of them flock to Last Mountain Lake, but you see all of these beautiful, their imprints of their webbed feet, in the sand. And so I follow them. And I always wonder where it's going to lead me. So that's what I did here. Sometimes when I'm out on the land, I think Mother Earth is inspiring me to play a game. So I wonder, do these tracks in the sand lead to some kind of treasure? And I love rocks. So I do find treasure. It comes in the form of a heart-shaped rock. And honest to goodness, it seems like every time I'm out walking, I see heart-shaped rocks, and I think that's a good omen. It's kind of like when deer come in my yard. I don't know if they came in when you were visiting, but yeah, they come in my yard, and it's like, wow, this is great. That's why I live in Regina Beach. So heart-shaped rocks, pick them up all the time. I go home and paint them. I have a tree in my backyard. It has the face of a grandfather in it. So, that inspires me to paint as well. My mom, which is Nikawi in Cree, sets up my paint and I get busy. I see that old Musham's face in the trunk of a tree. Musham is a grandpa in Cree. And I try to paint it. And of course, at the lake, if you've been out on the lake when it's frozen, if there's not a lot of snow, the most amazing cracks form in the ice. And so I will stand there for hours. Dan Zakreski, hello. I just saw you. I didn't know you were here. Hi. Oh, it's good to see you. Sorry.
I recognize the voice.
Used to work with him too a long time ago. It's good to see you. I got a kid's book. Just talking about it. Well, no, that's not true. That's not possible. Anyway, I'll see you later. So yeah, out on the ice. I love it because again, walking my Safi, we would walk on the ice and the cracks in the ice, if you could just cut them out and put them up on a wall somewhere, it's a beautiful piece of art. And so I talked about that too in my kids' book because what I want to do with this book is inspire children to go out, get outside, get off the couch, get away from your video game, go out and just take a look at everything that's out there. And so here at the lake, I see an image of a fish, which is outlined in the ice in the frozen lake. What do you think you will see if you go out? And here I am, ladybugs, my favorite. I paint a picture of the happy little bugs doing very important work, pollinating flowers. So I love hummingbirds too. I didn't put one of those in. Now I have a fascination with bears. I am from northern Saskatchewan originally, even though I didn't grow up there because of the scoop up, but I've been up many times since I've reconnected with my family. Every time I see a bear, I have to give thanks. So that's one of my favorite animals. I'm not done here yet. I can't help but paint one more picture. It is my favorite animal, which is the brown bear, or muskwa in Cree. And I like to include basic Cree language in everything I write, especially for children as well. It's basic. So they're learning tanse kwemio kisigal. Hi, it's a beautiful day. So I teach them just basic stuff. And I love the kids after I do a class with them. They come up to me and then they repeat my Cree words. And it's like, good for you, because you might remember it for the rest of your life. Muskwa is not a difficult word to remember. So that's the bear. So I proudly look at the work that I've done with my paints and my brushes. And I just realized the font's big enough for me not to have to use my glasses. So I'm not gonna. All right. So there I am. It's getting to be at the end of the day. And as I get ready for bed, I have to thank Mother Earth for her beautiful sunset tonight. It's the perfect end to a perfect day. And Nikawi gives me a good night kiss. And I guess when I'm writing stuff like this too, I'm thinking I have 3 children. One of my favorite little bears is right here in Hawlii. And her twin brother, Dan, lives in Prince Albert. He's a firefighter. My oldest son, 2 years older, Jackson, is an aircraft mechanic in British Columbia. But when they were small, we used to read every single night. And that's kind of how we ended our day. Just they would pick a book and we would read. And kind of with this page, I hope a child who does read it thinks about their day and thinks about the things that they saw. And I suppose, without even realizing it, thinks of gratitude, because I think that's a good thing to teach someone who is just little. So there we are, the end of the day. And Nikawi says to me, Mother Earth is amazing. It's true, but your art is beautiful too. And that is because it was created by you. And I love that, because I think any kid's art is awesome. So that's my book. And it's I guess it's for people maybe age 4 to 7 or 8. I don't know. I forget. You do. You forget how busy it is being a mother. Can you just pick that up, please? And all of the things that it takes to get through a day. And the thing is, the day is amazing. So I told you I would read from my book, but I'm also really looking forward to having my children's poetry manuscript released in the next year. And the reason it even came about was when I was the Poet Laureate. April is Poetry Month, as you probably know. So Stephanie Langenegger had me on her show on Morning Edition on CBC Radio. And when she started the interview, she took out this old book that her auntie gave her when she was, 5 or 6. She still has it. And she used to read poetry when she was a kid. So Stephanie started reading this poem from this book that was probably 40 years old. And I loved it. I loved the fact that she started with a kid's poem. And then I thought, nobody writes children's poetry anymore. And I don't know why. So I started doing some research and I found some from the 1970s. That was the earliest I could find in my research. And it was really boring. It really drives me crazy when you think kids are stupid and you talk to them like they're stupid. And the poems that were in there were akin to roses are red, violets are blue. Sugar is sweet and I love you. All of those things are true. But I think children are way more intelligent than that. And so what I did was I decided to take stories from our Indigenous culture and celebrate them in poetry. And then the other thing that I do is I tell these children, and these are all ages of children, you know, you can write a poem about anything. Because I know these teachers who are, you know, giving them an assignment saying, I want you to write a poem. Somebody in grade 5 might say, I don't have any ideas. And it's like, yeah, you do. Everything is a poem. Did you know that? And they kind of look at me like I'm crazy. And then I say, no, okay, do you know what this is? And some people do, and others don't. Spam is canned meat, right? And I said, if I can write a poem about canned meat, you can write a poem about anything. So then I read them my poem from my children's manuscript, which will be out in a year. So this one, you know what fry bread is, eh? It's bannock, which is a bread within our Indigenous culture. So this one is called Fry Bread and Spam. And many people love to eat fry bread with big clumps of butter with jam. But I like my fry bread best served with a generous helping of spam. This is a special treat that I get to eat when I go camping out on the land. It's a great breakfast in so many ways. I use my ears and I listen for the happy sounds near of hot spam sizzling in a cast iron pan. And I watch as that meat gets poked with a fork and it's flipped from side to side and the color changes while cooking, light brown to dark brown, and my mouth waters as I keep looking. And the fried bread is fluffy when I break it open, and it reminds me of a cloud. It smells so good. And I want many pieces, but I can only have one because that is all I'm allowed. Everybody laughs and tells stories while I squish mustard on my plate, and it is breakfast time out here in the bush. That first bite sure tastes great. So some kid then, she came up to me and she said, I'm going to go home and have a spam sandwich after school. It's like, good for you. So anyway, yeah, what I do also with my presentations to children, in addition to encouraging them to write poems, to write their own stories, to paint their own images, I also encourage them to sing. And so I'm going to do that with you guys, even though you're older. And if anyone wants to have percussion, Nahani's got some percussion instruments there. I'm going to use this, I think. That's the wrong drum. Sorry about that. I had a different song in mind. I'll use my Kiwi drum in a couple of minutes. And I'm wrecking the place. All right. So what I like to do is get children to interact with me when I'm doing presentations at school. And the song Fry Bread and Spam is very similar to green eggs and ham. And of course, green eggs and ham, everybody knows, green eggs and ham is fun because it encourages you to play with words, right? And learn how to rhyme. And then just get this excitement about literature. When you're in grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, you know, it's fun to learn and it's fun to take part. So what I do with my drum, I have my song, Fry Bread and Spam. And it's the same concept as green eggs and ham, but it's audience participation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I would not eat them in the dark. I would not eat them in the, I stop drumming, you yell out the rhyming word. There's no wrong answer as long as it rhymes. And I love doing this. I love doing this with kids, especially if there's, let's say 50 of them or even more. And they all get right into it. And And it was funny because I was at Miller High School the other day. So I was talking to these kids who are like grade 10, 11, and 12, and they were doing this song with me and they were having fun. And I loved that because music and storytelling and just celebrating literature, it doesn't have any boundaries unless you want to throw them in there. So here's my song for you. Fry bread and spam. Gotta think of some rhymes. You can sing with me too if you want. Ba-da-da-da. I'll go back here. Fry bread and spam. Fry bread and spam. Say my name. Say my name. Would not eat it in a box. I would not eat it in a box. Box. I would not eat bread and spam. I'm Sam. I am a. There we go. That's how it goes. And I love using my drum too, because a lot of times I'll go to school, especially rural schools, where they don't have any Indigenous interaction. But then I show up and then they have fun singing with the drum, and I love that. So, okay, go. We're gonna do a couple more. Bread and spam. Bread and spam. Say my name. Say my name. Would not eat it here, there. Would not eat it anywhere. I would not eat it and spam. I'm saying I am the. Okay, I live in Regina Beach. This one is obvious. Bread and spam. Bread and spam. Say my name. I would not eat it. It's a boat. A boat. I would not eat it. Anna gave you the answer. Gave you the answer. I would not eat bread and spam. I'm saying I am here. Oh. So those are the types of things I do at schools. It is so fun, you know. Again, what I love, sometimes we'll go on, you know, artist tours and we'll be in these classrooms at 9, which means probably got up at 5 to get there on time. So we're tired and crabby by the time you get there, right? But I start singing and drumming. You can't stay upset when you're when you're drumming and singing with kids and they're all bouncing around. Okay, I'll do another song. And then I don't know what to do. I was hoping some kids would be here, but that's okay. This is great. You are all children at heart. So, okay, so put on the listening ears. Like I said, I like to try and celebrate my Cree culture. And so I do children's songs in Cree. So this is one you gotta guess. You already know, you probably know. So what's that? That's it. See spider when the water spout down in the river. That's in the sun. See spider when the spout again. All right. So those are the things that I do. And I don't know if anybody has anything to ask. But if you do, might as well ask me now, because I'm going to go back to Regina Beach soon.
Do you have signed copies of your book here? Or will you
No,
sign
but
it?
I can sign them.
Yeah, so if we buy a copy,
Because
you'll sign it.
Jasper gave me a whole bunch of copies, so. So I will happily sign them for you. I'm gonna take my spam. There we go. Anyway, so that's it. Why do I do this stuff for kids? Cause it's fun. It's so fun. And actually, my daughter just finished her final exam and now has her degree in education. So she's gonna be going into, she's gonna be Miss Rose and going into schools, and I already know you're gonna love it every single day. Like I said, you can be crabby when you walk in, but you see those kids. And then your heart melts, and then you should do what you're supposed to do as a teacher, which is share, right? And celebrate and encourage. And if they have problems, you don't get upset with them because, well, you just don't. That's not how you learn. So there we go. That's why I do what I do. Yeah. All right. So Jay, I have books here. I think what I do is I sign it and then you take it to the front,
I buy it there.
but I have my own copies.
Yes, please come get your book signed and then go to the cash circle to pay for them. And thank you again to Carol for coming here
Oh, no
tonight.
problem.
Okay, thanks for being here, everyone.
Yeah. So nice for people to show up.